So listen, I just got done watching again Team Foxcatcher.
Right.
Now, I loved your documentary, The Smashing Machine, and I loved the movie because they're very similar, and it was a great Hollywood version of your documentary. The Team Foxcatcher, compared to the movie Foxcatcher, apples and orange. No, because apples and oranges are both delicious. I thought one was great, and the other one, man, it was
different.
Different.
Yeah.
I'll say different because it wasn't like the performances were bad.
No, I think he was trying to. That's Bennett Miller directed the Foxcatcher movie with Steve Carell, and I think he was trying to capture a vibe. It was super dark. And I think he was interested in the relationship between Mark and Dave Schultz and brothers. And like he was seeing something different than what I was seeing. You know, we had a few conversations about that, you know, but I guess it's really interesting because I've had these two experiences where two of my films have been made into Hollywood films, and they're very different because the Foxcatcher experience, I mean, you can't even recognize the stories, right? They changed theirs so far from reality that they actually, they told Mark Schultz's story more than they did Dave Schultz's story and John Dupont's story. And they somehow infer that Mark was involved with Dave's death in some way. But the reality of the situation was that Mark had not been on the farm for over 7 years at that point.
It's just so inaccurate.
That's
you know
a lot of
so
shifting. Yeah, and you know, where's the line? Is that okay to do? Is it not okay to do? I don't know. But then when you go to the Smashing Machine, it's like the complete opposite, right? They just stuck exactly to the documentary. Yeah. So it's like, which one is better or worse? I don't know. I mean, I think like in a vacuum, you just have to kind of look at each of these films individually and judge them for yourself, you know?
With John Dupont, it was really just mental illness. Like that you really captured his whole decline where, you know, he was always trying to impress his mother, and he always was like, it's kind of a disappointment. And then when she was gone, he was just off the rails. And it showed you what a great guy that David Schultz was.
Yeah, he just
seemed like
interesting.
He was very interesting because he wasn't like you talked about, like even with how Mark Kerr is, people are shocked because he's actually soft spoken. And with David Schultz, he kind of looks, when he's wrestling, he looks like a barbarian. I loved his eye for detail. They called him almost like a hippie. Like he was very like laid back. You really captured his personality and his whole he really got his character out. Like
I came into that movie through his wife, Nancy Schultz, who's like a really good friend of mine. So, you know, making sure Dave got his due in that was a big goal throughout that whole thing.
Oh, you did. I mean, that was fantastic. Even his relationship with the Bulgarian wrestler. And their families together and you know.
Sad Valo.
Yeah.
You know, one of the best wrestlers in history. Was like an 8-time world champion.
And that whole thing started as such a, like, they were like a wrestling utopia that she called it, his wife, you know. And
I think too, like when I look at that movie, something that I find really interesting is just like the power dynamics, because Dupont had so much money, right? He was getting enabled by the cops, right? He was doing all of these really crazy things. He drove his car into the pond twice in a row with people in it, right? He had like shot like birds or whatever, but right over some little kid's head, almost hit a kid with bird shot. He had done all these series of things, but you know, he had given so much money to the police in the area that they just kind of let these things go on. And, you know, I think it's really kind of like a meditation on how power corrupts in a weird way, you know?
And then there was some kind of chemical imbalance there, and then with the drugs on top of it, he was just off the rails. It's such a shame how that went down.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
But man, that documentary it's kind of haunting in a weird way.
You know? I mean, that was personal too, just because I grew up in like a wrestling family, right? My father was the chairman of the New York Athletic Club wrestling team for almost 40 years. So he had a couple Olympic champions, Bruce Baumgartner, Bobby Weaver. He had Gene Mills, who was not an Olympic champ, but another great wrestler. So, you know, to me, it was kind of like, that's really my community. So getting to deal with all those people, it was super fun, and having everybody open up and just tell their stories about Dave, and and ultimately it's just a really sad story. But I think like that thus far in my career has been my talent, is kind of finding these really interesting stories that are rooted within these communities, that like these niche communities that mean something to me.
Guys, let me tell you about my buddy's new online community called Punch Convo. Punch Convo is an online community for real MMA fans and pro fighters to interact. No toxicity. That's important for me. No toxicity. It's built from the ground up by two lifelong MMA fans. It's a way for fans to get closer to the action, hear behind the scenes insight from fighters, break down fights and matchups, and a lot more. No trolls, no bullshit, no toxicity. If you're a diehard MMA fan, or it's the best $5 a month you're gonna spend. There's no way what a value, $5 a month. They've got some awesome guys involved in it, including some of our guys. They got Naz Sadikov, they got Matt Steamroller Favola. Hey man, those are my people. So head over to 3punchconvo.com, sign up using code Serra to grab your first free month. Let's go. 3 Punch Convo.